Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Late Night Brew, where we, of course, talk brews first and, get around to the business stuff a little bit later. I'm Robert Buktenica, otherwise known as Buck, and tonight on the show with me from up north, John Gallacher, and tonight we're going to be talking about Managed Azure and Analytics Service for tackling the beast that is Azure. John, welcome.
Thank you, Buck. I think first clarify, when you say up north, it's not Canada, it's Scotland, right?
I think they might have picked that up from the accent.
Okay.
I'm hoping. But what are you drinking with me tonight?
Tonight, sir, I have a lovely pint of Innis and Gunn. It's a Scottish craft beer, and I really, really love it. Interestingly enough, I spent about 6 years in Sydney, Australia. I hadn't heard of it before I left. I came back to Bonnie, Scotland, and it was quite a popular craft beer. Funnily enough, I've actually got quite a number of these pint glasses here that I got free from the local pub. Yeah. For the reason being, they didn't do their marketing homework, and they went to print, 1,000 pint glasses, and they've got a typo. As you can see, it's supposed to be INNIS, and the pints have got ES. So they were giving out free pint glasses, and I'm like, Scottish folk love free stuff. I was like, yeah, I'll take some of them.
Who doesn't? I think that's world over. Everyone loves something free.
Yep.
I got myself a Great White. It is a California brewery. Nice wheat beer. Easy drinking, perfect for day drinking. Excellent. So, Managed Azure service. That is a huge topic to handle. So we'll try to do a bit of what it is, touch on that, and of course the why of what it is you're doing.
Yeah, I guess starting off with the why. As you know, we've been doing managed services now at quite a serious level for a number of years. And we started off doing Citrix managed services, and it was pretty serious stuff, to the point we had really skilled guys operating at a high level, and we would go in there and manage farms, really huge size. And it got to a point we started scaling out our managed services, bringing in new services. And for now, almost 10 years, and this is now your bread and butter, we were helping our partners and their clients make the move from on premises into Azure. Now, when they got there, they had this, it's quite common to have this kind of thought that, I'm going to be putting a lot of this stuff out to Microsoft, and I'm freeing myself of all this kind of management, all this stress to worry about. But then what often happens is they get there, and because it's a completely different platform, how they manage it becomes quite a challenge. And it wasn't rare to be asked, following a project, can you come in and help us out with X, Y, and Z? And a lot of these tasks were pretty operational. It wasn't anything too complicated, and they found themselves in that that area whereby they didn't have the internal skills, or they were just short on time, or a mixture of both. So we kind of thought, we've got all these great managed services, and we're actually managing a lot of workloads in Azure. So let's just extend that out, and we'll start looking after the underlying platform. We'll look at all the security aspects of it, all of the cost management, and it really just kind of completed that service offering to the point where we would say that this is a problem for you. Rather than going to hire an expensive Azure guy, and guys that really know their stuff, they're hard to come by. So we thought we can really make this service a bit more fuller, and then offer that to our clients. And I guess one of the key things is the service is customizable, because rather than pick a technology silo like Citrix, when you say Azure, what is Azure? It's a huge platform, right? And there's quite a lot of things going on there, right?
There's no
workloads and services and whatnot. So we really just understand what the customer needs, and we'll customize the service to suit their requirements.
Right. Yeah, that's I'd say the shiny new toy kind of greenfield of, we're going to move here and all of our problems are going to be solved kind of mentality. And then you get over there and it's like, these are all just different problems. Yeah, we don't have our original ones, but now we got, how are we supposed to optimize this stuff? How are we supposed to manage the cost? Because, I mean, the cost per hour of Azure services, that billing model, pay what you use, it sounds easy in principle, but what does that actually look like to lay out? And isn't that one of the optimizations that you focus on and help with?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I mean, a lot of this stuff, you can go into, and Microsoft have done an amazing job of really developing all the sort of tools around reporting and the sort of optimizations. You can go in there and click on like the Azure Advisor and get a list, the length of your arm of what you should go and do. But
Yeah,
depending on the workloads and how they're being managed, some of those might not make sense for the customer. And likewise, when we're actually trying to understand the customer's needs, you've got all these different services in there, and it might be a case of, okay, you guys can come in here and manage X, Y, and Z. And what is X, Y, and Z? That could be, okay, Azure Active Directory, please take care of that. We've also got, a stack of Linux and Windows VMs. Could you please monitor them as well? So sometimes the customer needs a hand in understanding what they need, and it's not a case of we want to go in there and just take over everything. It's really, if the customer has got a driver to try and upskill their internal staff, then we're all in support of that. And it might be a case of, we can build this service out where we will look after your Active Directory, a subset of your VMs, and maybe like your recovery services and backup services. So it's really just getting that sweet spot that's going to give the most value back to the customer.
yeah, and it's I mean, following the Azure model of paying only for what they need or want.
Yes.
It sounds like it's exactly, hey, I only want this. Okay, you're only going to pay for that. What's obviously with that kind of customization is, what does the reporting look like? Is there a lot of variance? I mean, like anything customizable that introduces a lot of variables into everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a good point on the cost piece, right? You've got different, I think when we're in customizing a service and we say, okay, this is what's going to fit, your needs best. And when we get asked, what is the best value for the customer? And because we're like interacting with all levels, we're talking to guys in the service desk, we're talking to internal admins and engineers, up to IT management and like the C-level guys. So really they've all got different, they tell you different stories. What works for them is a case of, we're out there, we're the sort of an on-call person to come in here with the expertise, fix a problem or get something done. So when we're really alleviating that pressure and that stress from those internal engineers and whatnot, that's where they see the value, right? They go, this is brilliant. We can go off and concentrate on like these more internal things that are more value add to our role in the business. But then talking to like the C-level guys or management, they think, okay, it's brilliant you're helping those guys out operationally, but they want to see the sort of dashboards, and we sort of build out these really, really in-depth dashboards that might encapsulate a number of the sort of back-end services. And you can have like the operational guys in the service desk, they want to see like, what's the server availability? Is anything running hot? Is it affecting user experience? And then, that user experience is a key one, right? That kind of, spawns across the sort of ops guys plus the C-level. But when you get to the C-level, they're thinking, how's the sort of security posture? Are we in any danger, any risk? And then more importantly, the cost management, how's our billing looking? Is there anything are we missing tricks here with how much we're actually spending in cloud cost? And it might be a case of, they're not spending enough. It could be a case of, you haven't scaled or sized these servers large enough. This is directly impacting user experience, which is actually, more damaging than spending a bit more cash in Azure.
Right. So it's taking care of the so what of, oh, the servers are all running great, and so what? Well, you're not spending more than you need to, and your users are all working effectively, and they're not getting hamstrung by the server being under leveled or underpowered. So
Exactly. And I think that's it. It's, we do these really, getting back to the value point about the dashboards. We also do like regular reporting, and I always call out, it's key to kind of call out, it's two separate reports. With the managed service, you get this sort of a, traditional managed service report, which has got a lot of value, and it is very, very important. It's got things like, tickets open versus tickets closed, what proactive maintenance and change management happened in the last month. Are we meeting SLAs? Core basic things that are super important. Now that report is completely automated. That hits the inbox, every month, and then the SDM on the account will come in and do a session to go through that top to bottom to make sure that, one, the client's happy, we're not dropping the ball, and we're all in a good place. But alternatively, we have these more consultant style reports where we basically look at all the analytics. We take all that noise out of Security Center, Azure Advisor, and we really just structure this nice report that's easy to consume. And again, one of the things that I actually watched one of the previous episodes with Mr. Mike Gray, and it was that point in the UCAS thing whereby, is it another report? Is it more noise? And I think that it's clear to kind of point out that this report is all about removing the noise, okay, and just getting to the meat and bones of how do we have, you know, a more efficient platform? How do we have happier users? How do we move this forward? And one of the key points, again, just winding back to how it's customizable. Yes, it's a managed service, and traditionally it's like something breaks, you call us, we fix it. But optionally, we can factor in consulting time so that when you're actually going through the report and we say, here's some recommendations, we could actually do that as part of the managed services, or it could be our partner, or it could be the client themselves. So it's really, you've got these kind of all these moving parts that we really adjust and tune to make sure we have what works. Because one of the things that really frustrates me a little bit is you kind of have that managed services. Have you looked at the exclusions and all this kind of stuff? And yes, there's exclusions, you know, for obvious reasons. But the key for us is to make sure that this service we build is going to meet the client's needs, you know, and then some.
Yeah, and I feel, I mean, after especially talking with Mike Ray and you, the managed services is almost, I would say, 80% making sure everything's running proper. They understand the value, how things are working, how they can be improved. That last bit. But that last 20% really is the advisory of, it's not just, hey, your server is still running and it's not burning in the server room, no big deal. But it's really, hey, this is how you could do it better, where you could improve. That advisory of, this is new avenues, and especially managed service, you know, you really get to know the customer. You really get to know what they do, how they work, what's important to them, versus just, hey, your shit's working.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's it. There's so many aspects to the service that make the big difference, right? One of the examples I've got, you know, that happened quite recently, it's so easy, especially when you get to the larger clients that have got lots going on, and it might be they're so big, they've got multiple tenants, multiple subscriptions, and we might be, you know, responsible for, say, one or two of them, right? So we've got monitoring that says, okay, you spend, you know, for example, 50k a month in Azure for this subscription. It's quite easy for an admin internally to, you know, hit the wrong button, say something wrong, and then if they're doing their kind of weekly or monthly reports, it might take 7 days or 30 days before they go, sugar, this has actually been size wrong and we've just lost a lot of money. So we've got these cool tools where we can like set ratio based monitoring. You know, if there's any fluctuation of 5% or 10% in the space of 2 hours or 10 hours a day, we get the alert, that gets triaged, we go back to the customer and, you know, inquire, is this on purpose, is it not? If it's not, we, you know, solve the issue, and it solves that cash burn problem, which is all too common, right?
Everyone, cash is king.
Of course.
And being able to show that value add, and not just the managed service, but they're getting the most out of Azure, they're getting the most out of Citrix. I mean, that's huge, because those are not cheap investments, no matter how you want to cut it. The Citrix farm is huge, and in Azure you can kind of consume piecemeal, but if you're looking at IaaS, that's a massive investment. That's a new data center. That's really what it is. Granted, they do a lot of the server maintenance for you, but
exactly. Well, some of it.
Hardware level.
Yeah.
So, any good like tales from the field of that you can say, this kind of the Azure service, what we were able to do, like made a big impact, or kind of a qualifiable impact, or you know, you came in riding from the north on a horse and you saved the day.
like Braveheart, I think the sort of common thread of feedback we're getting right now with the clients is, you know, and it's you know, sort of small to mid-sized clients that really benefit, because they might just not have people internally that have got that skill set. So it's really, you know, and I often find myself, you're going through the reports and it's super detailed, But you need to kind of know the audience, right? You know, if the customer is really a case of you're managing it for me, just tell me when something's going to fall over, or tell me when I've got to invest or change a service because ultimately I want to get a better user experience. So that kind of common thread of getting the value that way. And in the larger customers, you know, if they can basically, you know, not hire someone who's an expensive resource, they can basically outsource to us, okay? You know, we run the managed service, and it lets their team focus more on what they need to do, you know, and it's a massive win for them, and we're more than happy to scale that service up and down as they require.
Yeah, getting only paying for what they need.
Exactly, you know, from the platform and from Insentra, right?
Exactly. So I think actually that just about eats up all of our time. So thank you, John. I
Yes,
appreciate it.
thank you.
And I look forward to when I come crash on your couch, having some of that craft brew.
Oh yes, and I'll definitely organise one of the pint glasses with the bad spelling. It makes it more fun.
Oh, of course.
Awesome.
Until next time, thanks for joining me and
Nice
have
one.
a great night.
Cheers, Buck.